You're looking at Matheus, Nunes, really talented midfielder from Wolves. There's no sign yet of what it would cost, 24 years of age. You encouraged by that instead of Paqueta? Do you think that's the sort of profile you now need to kind of complete your summer window?
I don't see it. I don't see how he fits in. No, I think we need more creative midfielder than that. I don't think we need him. Could be a lot of paper talk. I think, with the way the Paqueta deal fell through, I think it gives a chance of a few agents to throw the names out there of certain players because City are looking. But I don't think we're going down that road. I don't think Wolves will let him go anyway. I mean, if they let him go with this, the squad's already shit, to be fair. So the last thing they want to do is let him go. Plus, he got sent off at weekend for being an arsehole, just pushing people about and that. I don't see we get him. I think we're going to get someone. I think City's going to pull something out the hat that maybe none of us knew about. Someone will come in, but I don't think it's going to be him.
It's interesting because, again, he's not... I think, look, he was very good against Man United the other week, but I think that's more us being bad than anything else right now because he didn't do that to us before. He's decent. I think he's obviously different from Paqueta. You're also linked with, again, very different profile, but Eze at Crystal Palace. Yeah. And that's interesting because I see him more as a forward player. And you obviously got Doku that's coming in. That's the over the line. He's going to be on the right. Eze can play right, but goes on that left hand. Well, when I think about Eze, I also think he's not a Gundogan. He's not an attacking midfielder. He's a forward. And with Foden being so brilliant, with Grealish that being his position, with Bernardo Silva doing a new deal and with Doku signing, I sort of look at the Eze deal and think, listen, it's always good to have a deep squad. But I sort of look at that as, is that not a little bit of overkill and kind of missing that role that you actually need in terms of really replacing Gundogan? Or maybe I'm completely misreading the City scenario.
Like I say, I think it's a case of just any name will do at the minute. I think Calvin Phillips' situation is big because he's not getting a game. He's not getting a game. He didn't play in the Charity Shield, didn't play in Burnley, didn't play in the Super Cup, didn't play against Newcastle, didn't even get any minutes in any of them. He's fully fit. He's been training all pre-season early, and he can't get a game. So he needs to play football. You know what I mean? He wants to play for England, and he's not playing football. So there might be a situation where you see City use Phillips as a bit of bait and a bit of money to get somebody in, or somebody will come in at City and Phillips might go out on a loan for a year. I don't know, but I just think it'd be someone we haven't been linked to yet. I can't see Eze at Palace. I think Palace, with the market the way it is at the minute, he's their main man. So they're going to be asking stupid money. And why wouldn't they be asking that? You know what I mean? Everybody else is asking daft money. So Palace will ask the same. So I don't know. Doku looks like a bargain, to be fair. I believe when other clubs came in, they tried to up the price, but I think Doku had already decided he wanted to come here. I think City have done their own work on him, so that's a good signing. But we definitely need somebody else in that middle. But I'd look at someone more creative, because Kevin De Bruyne picking up these injuries, getting older. I like to see somebody come in who can thread a pass through. You know what I mean? We got Kovacic, Phillips, Rodri, who can tackle and defend and play across that back, but we just need someone that can put that ball through to the big man up front. I
agree. I mean, Phil Foden played in the kind of KDB role, and I thought he was out of this world. I think it looked sensational, and this is maybe me as the England fan talking. The Man United fan wants me to not utilize him because I think he's sensational. The England fan in me wants him to kind of finally get a designated position, which is his. I feel with Foden that 1 minute it looks like he's playing on the left, then a 10, then maybe on the right, covering here and there. I'd like him to be given that opportunity. KDB, there are definitely question marks over whether or not his body is really starting to fail him. He's seems to be picking up kind of regular injuries, starting more games on the bench towards the end of last season. And look, that could just be, again, fans reading into it, and really, we'll hope KDB is Partey's best as rivals. But I want to see him given more of an opportunity. And I know Eze can play in that attacking midfield 10 role, but I sort of feel I've never seen him play as deep as Foden and KDB start in that role, if that makes sense, and that they move into that position. It's a different type of role, but yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. And what did you make of Doku? Because I've seen him play a few times. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, But I've read that when it comes to one-on-ones with fullbacks, I think it was Thierry Henry that said, if you're one-on-one with him, you better say your prayers because this kid is absolutely mustard when it comes to beating his man.
Yeah, I mean, he's a totally different winger to one I thought that Pep would go for. You know, we were led to believe he didn't want to go down this fast, tricky winger sort of profile. He wanted to get somebody that retains the ball, comes maybe inside a little bit more, a bit like Jack Grealish, you know what I mean? Just keeping hold of the ball and keeping it, you know, moving at all times. But obviously with Doku, he's quite explosive and he's fast and pacey. And yeah, I mean, Pep obviously identified something in him. I'd be interested to see. I mean, City fans, we loved that fast winger. When we had Raheem Sterling on one side and Leroy on the other side, and we were playing between them lines, them boys getting behind, it was brilliant to watch, you know what I mean? He slowed it right down a bit last few years, so we've been used to a different style of play. But no, it's an exciting signing, and there's quite a few City fans excited by it. I'm excited to see him play, and like I was saying, that the signing in the middle, there's no real Kevin De Bruyne role you can pinpoint because he's all over the place. But what I'm saying is there's games where Erling's making these runs and Rodri can't find him. You know, Kovacic is not quite finding him. Sometimes Foden is checking back on himself. But obviously against Newcastle, Phil was brilliant in between them lines. But I just think we need a little bit more creativity in there. But like I say, I don't know which way we're going to go with it at the minute. The names coming out of the hat don't flatter me. Like I say, Nunes and Eze, I'm not overly gassed by them two, to be fair. But there's not a lot out there at the minute, Terry, to be fair.
No, there isn't. And this is the one thing. You don't just want to drop stupid money on a player that is still going to struggle to find those passes. Maybe the thought process of Pep, because we know he has this in the locker, is right. Well, I'll sign some. Maybe I'll go out and get Nunes and Eze, and it's two sort of one that's really creative, the other one that is a bit more of a player that can sort of support from behind. Maybe that means Calvin Phillips is going to go out on a loan. There have been talk of Liverpool maybe coming in for him. So maybe there's a bit more going on than we can actually see. But yeah, there aren't very many midfielders that can do what KDB and what Phil Foden does. I think Phil Foden's proved he can do it. And even on the right-hand side, in the opening couple of games of your season, Palmer has stepped up and demonstrated that he can deliver. Again, though, when you're looking at both Eze and after signing Doku, maybe Palmer's basically said, look, I love being here, but I want to now starting week in, week out to really push my career on. And maybe Pep's just saying, because Pep's generally pretty good at this. If a player wants to leave for career purposes, he generally lets them go, if that makes sense. He's not going to hold someone against their will. So there could be another exit or two from City to kind of watch out for. But I have to say, as a rival watching, especially with my club struggling to get his last couple of signings over the line to really add that, because we're really missing P&P in the middle. You guys were quite slow at the start of this window, but the fact that you're going to end it with bringing Guardi, you've obviously Kovacic, Guardiol, Doku, and you could be adding Eze and Matheus Nunes into this. It's disheartening. As a rival, I'm not going to honestly, I don't ever speak nonsense. It's a really good window in terms of adding quality to already the best team and best squad in world football. It's ridiculous, really. And I mean that as a compliment.
No, it is. Listen, it is what it is. You've got to respect it the way that they turn it over. Last season, we got rid of Fernandinho, Raheem Sterling, Jesus, Zinchenko. Everybody's head fell off and said, "Oh, you've weakened your team and you've strengthened your rivals." We won the treble. So this season, Gundogan's gone, Mahrez has gone. He's bringing in Kovacic, Guardiol, Laporte's gone now. So we're freshening it up regular all the time. And it's like, you need to respect it. These teams that you see, they have a great side. And when they lose 3 or 4 key players, they struggle to get back up to the same level. But Manchester City continue to strengthen, drop players, David Silva, Vincent Kompany, Yaya Toure, Sergio Aguero. All these players have left in this era. And people used to say, oh, when they leave, you'll be knackered. But we haven't. We've carried on winning trophies and we've carried on at the same level. Because I spoke with Gail Clichy about it, and he said to me that Manchester City are 3 or 4 transfer windows ahead than anybody else all the time, identifying players. And he said they've got targets that if the number one target doesn't get met or they get overpriced, they can pull the trigger on another one. We went for Maguire and people like that ended up with Diaz. Do you know what I mean? We went for Sanchez.
Yeah.
Alexis Sanchez. He changed the goalpost. Then we went and grabbed Emerick Laporte. It's a totally different player from a different position. But at the time, it was just that was the timing was right to grab him and that. And I watched a City documentary the other day on the channel, and it's showing you Tixi Buggerstein and his partner, and they were both looking at targets. And he said, if you have to go to the transfer market in January, it's because you made a mistake in the summer, or because you something didn't work out. And that's how they look at it, City. We very rarely buy in January unless someone's dropped a bollock. But we're looking good. Guardiola's here for a long, long time. Doku, 21-year-old, long, long time. Kovacic is just bringing a bit of experience. But if anyone's watched Kovacic the last 2 or 3 games, he looks unbelievable. He looks different to the Kovacic at Chelsea. So
he certainly does. Just again, this is not a dig at Chelsea, but generally speaking, when you're in a better team, your levels go up. When you move into a team that's got where there's harmony, your levels go up. And he does look great. And you're absolutely right. And I think that the brilliance you guys have is that you've got brilliant people running your club, supporting what Pep Guardiola is trying to achieve on the football pitch. You don't have any debt. You have not an endless supply of money, but you have money that's there. And you look at Man United right now as a prime example. We're having to sell before we buy. We've got personal terms and a fee agreed in principle with Fiorentina, but we can't activate it because we're struggling to get rid of McTominay, Donny, the Henderson, Maguire, to name just 4. And the wage bill's too high. And the wage bill's too high because we haven't got enough money remaining because we've got all this debt we're paying hundreds of millions of pounds a year to. So we're struggling in that regard. And the reason we're struggling now to give Ten Hag exactly what he wants is because of legacy issues that have been created from us continuing to drop bollocks under other managers, as you put it. And this is the thing when people say it doesn't matter how much money you spend, just spend it. It's not my money. That only really works if your club is well run and makes a minimal amount of mistakes. When you've been making constant mistakes for a decade, you're feeling those legacy problems in the here and now. And yeah, looking at it as a rival, as I say, I just want my club to get to a point where it's forget the football for a minute and winning trophies. That's never going to come consistently until you're run as well as Man City are. Liverpool, I feel they caught you up. And I feel for about a year, maybe 18 months, they were better than you. Only marginally. But what did they do different to you? Instead of continuing to spend, continue to invest, right, we've got a brilliant front three, but Harry kept this going. What they should have been doing as a club is, yes, they were brilliant, their front three, for years. They should have gone and added Harry Kane 3 years ago to that front three as an example and continued it going. These midfielders they're buying this year, I think Szoboszlai looks great. I think McAllister looks great. That type of player should have been bought 2 or 3 years ago. But they scrimped and scraped, went backwards, and now look where they are in terms of challenging. Nobody believes they can do it. City, in terms of the big clubs and the way the big clubs should operate, City, for me, are the absolute blueprint that everybody should be looking to follow in one way, shape, or form. There could be some differences, but the blueprint is absolute perfection. Now, I know there's accusations that are against you, but unless you're proven to have cheated to get there, there's nothing about the City situation that other clubs shouldn't be striving for. And I know you have billionaire owners, but they can only personally invest £100 million a year into the club. All of our billionaire owners can afford to do that. We all have bigger fan bases than you. So the fact is, we should be able to generate. The only reason you're generating more money than a lot of us is because you're winning, but you're winning because you're so well run, not just spending the most. And at the end of the day, we're going to get onto other clubs later.